Hello YouTube and welcome to another review by Damon Lemaitre. Today's review will be looking at Hornby Edward. A lot of people's first impressions on the Hornby Edward is that it looks nothing like Edward. This used to be my view, however, looking at the model a lot more carefully, I think it's unfair to say that. Normally if something doesn't look like something at all, then it doesn't look like it at all. I think Edward's blue paintwork is spot on. And compared to the Thomas and Gordon, which were the wrong shades of blue and too dark. Also, unlike the Hornby Henry, who we reviewed not long ago, Edward has his wheel arches. He also has the right shaped windows and has yellow around them. And the two on his tender looks a lot better than the three on the Hornby Henry tender. They've also painted, as I said on the Hornby Henry model, this bit was painted green, but they've painted it black here, and I think it looks a lot better. The one let down with the tender is, I think it's it's the right sort of shape, but it's too long, and the wheels are black. And if you wanted to make a remake of the episode Trouble in the Shed, then you'd have a bit of an issue, as Edward of course doesn't have black wheels, and there is a few lines by the Fat Controller and Edward saying that. The lamp irons in Edward also look like they're placed upside down. They come with it comes with the lamp irons already fitted, but like I said, it looks like they're upside down. Also, Edward's funnel is the wrong shape. So if you look at his funnel is actually the wrong shape, unfortunately. Also, when putting Edward next to engines such as Henry and Murdoch, he is taller than them and almost as long. And in the television series, Edward was a lot smaller. Going back to the windows, another issue is that you've got like plastic glass in the portholes, and in the side windows you've got like plastic there. But then, if you look here, there isn't any glass in there at all. You can see my finger popping out, whereas you couldn't see it there because there's like plastic glass. So yeah, it'd be plastic. That is a bit of a letdown, and I don't think Hornby would have gone over budget if they had put some plastic in that window as well. As you know, there is a Bachmann model of Edward that looks probably a lot more precise to his TV series model. However, one thing I don't like about the Bachmann model is Edward's face. I don't think it doesn't quite remind me of Edward. Whereas on the Hornby model, I think it's fair to say that his face resembles the one that he wore from Series 6 to Series 7, and later on he wore it in Series 10 until the end of the model era of the show. Also, when I look at this Edward, it reminds me of a certain Railway series illustration. The certain Railway series illustration that made Edward look quite big. And so, taking that into account, I think you can say it's not too... and so we can't be too hasty and say it doesn't look anything like Edward, as it sort of resembles it. And I think we have to imagine that if Edward was a real actual engine, not in any illustrations or any TV show, if he was a real engine, he would possibly be maybe this sort of scale that he is shown here. This Edward, it's funny, Edward is one of the oldest engines. However, in my collection it's one of the youngest, as it was built in 2010. As you can probably see there, yeah, so 2010. Most of my engines have been built between 1998 and 2008. Something else I forgot to add in the last review is that Mavis, Salty and Bill and Ben, they were all built in 2009. And the Henry model was made in 2006. So you get the idea of different time periods, and what I like to say is that it does say underneath when they were made. I think it was actually around 2010 that I got Edward. My parents bought him for me. I don't know where from. It was off the internet, but they got him for me for £80. And so there was a bit of a sentimental reason behind this Edward. Also, Edward has the added steam pipes on the sides. Again, the real Edward didn't have, which is a bit of a letdown. Also, when I took him to a model railway show, without reading the number, some children do mistake him for Gordon, and I think they can be forgiven, as he is quite, like I said, he is quite long. I think if Edward was a bit smaller and not as tall, then he could more or less be one of Hornby's best models. And also, I think his driving wheels would have to be smaller, because I think the driving wheels are just that bit too big. Edward is a well packaged engine. His packaging is really good, like all the other Hornby models. Also comes with instructions, which is very helpful. When rating this engine, I think it's fair to say, look, like I said, it doesn't look 100% like Edward, but the characteristics that I like. So you've got the right colours, you've got the wheel arches, the wheel arrangement's all correct. Like I said, it's just a shame the wheels on the tender are black, really, but I suppose you can't get everything right. Edward is actually powered by the tender, he's not loco driven. Again, I prefer loco driven engines, but I don't think it's a huge issue, so he does still run really well. As you know, Hornby used tooling from other locomotives, and I think they didn't do too well picking the one for Edward. He also is running plate dips there, whereas it was flat in the television series. So it doesn't entirely capture the television series model or most of the Edwards that we grew up with, but like I said, there are the characteristics there. Edward as well is a really good runner. I've not had any issues with him. Like I said, I've had him for like 4 years now, and so I've not had any issues with him. He runs really well. Overall, I think I'm going to give this model a 7 out of 10, which is over average. Like I said, he was bought for me as a present, so he does mean a lot. But at the same time, I think the characteristics are there, and it's unfair for anyone to say that it looks nothing like Edward at all, which is what some reviews do say. Because like I said, everything's pretty much there, so I think it's just down to the size that lets it down slightly. But he is a really good model, and like I said, he's got a charm about him. As I said, Bachmann do one. I would like to buy a Bachmann one, but I think I'm definitely going to keep this one. I never get rid of any of my models, and as a Hornby collector, it's nice to have him as part of the collection. Thank you very much for watching. Next time we'll be looking at 3 not so reliable engines, the 3 diesel shunters, Diesel, Harry and Bert. Thanks for watching.